So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. I am your host, Saeed. We do want to thank you for joining us tonight, viewers. Just reached the studio, forgive me with the hat. But nevertheless, You know when you're busy, how it is be moving sometime. When you're outside in the sun, you have to wear something on your head to prevent the sun. But nevertheless, I want to say a special good night to you viewers. So, Kamla Persad Bissessar, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, has created political history once again, winning her 4th consecutive internal leadership election since 2010 and doing so unopposed. With no challengers stepping forward, Persad Bissessar was officially declared re-elected on nomination day, effectively ending the party's internal electoral process before ballots were even printed for the August 17th poll. Chair of the Election Management Committee, Ramesh Prasad Maharaj, made the formal declaration. Listen to this.
Today, 27th of July 2025, is nomination day for the office of the political leader of the United National Congress.
Yes, yes.
The deadline for receiving nominations for this post is 4 p.m. today.
Pass.
We confirm that as of 4 p.m. today, there is no other candidate for the post of political leader of the United National Congress. The revised Rule 5.5.2 of the follows. In the event that only one candidate is validly nominated, the committee shall announce that candidate as the duly elected unopposed.
So Trinidad and Tobago, for the 4th consecutive time, unopposed, meaning no bacchanal, no words throwing, no this, no that, no the next. Everyone supported Kamla. Everyone in her team. No fighting, no backbiting, no this one throwing slang, not the other one throwing slang, you know. For the 4th time, that's a history in Trinidad and Tobago. But nevertheless, viewers, Persad Bissessar thanked her supporters and reflected on her 15-year journey at the helm of the UNC. So we want to take the opportunity to congratulate her, viewers, on her winnings. So in Trinidad, we have high-end security facilities where only members of that facility have access to day or night. And we have some houses we call prison, where anybody in Trinidad and Tobago wants to go and stay, all they have to do is commit a crime. That's all they have to do. And the judge will send you for a little vacation. It all depends on the crime you have committed. So listeners, viewers, the National Trade Union Center, NACTOC, has condemned what it described as an autocrats-like incident at Tetron Barracks, where an attorney was allegedly blindfolded before being allowed to consult with a client. In a statement issued, NACTOC said it could not ignore the incident, which it called an injustice to all. So how could that be an injustice to all? First, this is the first things I want to ask NACTOC. If a lawyer was blindfolded before ending up inside that facility to meet with a client, how is that an insult to all? How is that an injustice to all? It pointed to international legal instrument including the UN-based principles on the role of lawyers and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. So first things first, the attorney was going into a high-end security facility. That's number one. Number two, who the lawyer was going to meet? A client. Okay, good? We're continuing. Blindfolded. Blindfolding a lawyer may constitute a degrading act and could be considered inhumane or degrading treatment, Naktok said. The statement comes days after attorney C.J. Williams claimed he was asked to wear a blindfold and consult with his client, a murder accused earlier, Earl Richard at Tetron. Murder accused Earl Richard at Tetron. Williams said he was denied the consultation after refusing to comply with the conditions. Listen to this, we'll talk after.
So the briefing team comes. This comprises of 5 men in black, all black, face mask black, big guns black, right? Then they told me this is how the visit is going to be, and I must agree with the terms and conditions before we could proceed. Condition 1, no electronic items. Okay, no problem. Condition 2, I could go with a pen and a paper. Of course, no problem. Condition 3, I need to get blindfolded. Excuse me? You need to get blindfolded because of the security of this site and the great threat to national security of this site also.
So firstly, Naktok, I want to ask you all. You all took stand because of the fact that one of the rules that the lawyer had to follow was to be blindfolded before he entered into this high-end security facility at Tetron. So number one, is Tetron a jailhouse? I want to ask Naktok that. Is Tetron a jailhouse? No, it's not. Who goes there? Only officials who have access. Security officials who have access to that place can go in. So therefore, it becomes what? Naktok, what it became? Or what it becomes? A high-end security facility. That's number one. Number two, we are talking about a murder accused. For some reason, this murder accused have been placed there because ongoing issues is that Trinidad and Tobago is on a SOE presently, is a state of emergency, where the security forces in Trinidad and Tobago gathered intelligence that there was an uprising. Certain names was on list that it was to be carried out. Okay, good. So security ends now. They decided to move certain individuals and put them in a high-end security facility. All well and good for whatever security reasons. So now I want to ask, my thing now is with Naktok. Over the last 9 years, almost a little more than 5,000 people were murdered in Trinidad and Tobago. We did not hear Naktok. But what Naktok find, they found a problem with the lawyer being blindfolded to enter a high-end security facility. What is the problem with that? What is the problem with that? The attorney who is seeking urgent intervention from both the Law Association and the Criminal Bar Association also is calling for the Minister of Homeland Security and Defense to carry out an immediate investigation. Listen to this.
This is just, to me, really, really alarming. And I've given instructions for Mr. Lewis to write to the head of the criminal bar, Mr. Isra Khan. I've also given him instructions to write to the head of the Law Association, Mr. Nasibran Sweet, Senior Counsel, as to what can only be termed as a sad day in Trinidad and Tobago under the guise of a SOE.
So now Trinidad and Tobago, we are talking about a murder accused. Okay, good. Blindfolding a lawyer may constitute a degrading act and could be considered inhumane or degrading treatment, NACTOC said. So over the last 9 years, over 5,000 persons have been killed in Trinidad and Tobago. Domestic violence, car accident, gang-related incident. And I have been on television for probably about 9 years now. And we never heard NACTOC saying anything. We didn't hear them say anything about the murder rate. We didn't hear them say anything about gang violence. We didn't hear them say anything about domestic violence, murder. We didn't hear them say anything about home invasion. We didn't hear them say anything about guns on the streets. We didn't hear them say anything about prostitution. We didn't hear them say anything about law enforcement being held with narcotics. We didn't hear anything about such. But they took issue. NACTOC took issue with a lawyer who's been, what? Blindfolded. So where was NACTOC voice when about 5,000 people died? Where was NACTOC voice when home invasion was rampant in 24? They took issue with a lawyer who going to say what? A murder accused. Trinidad and Tobago, it's stinking sad. Over the last 9 years, about 5,000 plus murdered in Trinidad. Where was the voice? Where was the voice of the National Trade Union Center? Where was their voice? This is what I want to ask them publicly. Where was their voice? Where was their voice when Dr. Rowley said, let's deal with it outside on the pavement? Where was their voice when bandits were running into people's house, robbing, stealing, killing, raping, murdering homeowners? Where was the National Trade Union Center? Where was their voice? You see, others in Trinidad and Tobago may say, you know what, there's a trade union. I'm not going to say nothing now. Them could get their lawyers. But where was their voice when 5,000 people were murdered? Where was their voice when there was home invasion? Robbery, rape, killing. Where was their voice? These are the things that you wouldn't hear across the board, you know. You wouldn't hear it. You know who they hear it from? Saieed. You will hear it on Real Talk. Where was their voice? Penny wants reason for SOE. Why Penny didn't ask Stuart Young? Why Penny didn't ask Dr. Rowley? Why Penny didn't ask Marvin Gonzalez? Why Penny didn't ask Fitzgerald Hines? What was the reason? Today they have a problem with SOE. Do so and like so. That is what we have in Trinidad today. Nobody wants to get down to the real point. Nobody. NACTUC warned that even under a state of emergency, international standard must be upheld. So hear this. Let me forget the international standard in Trinidad and Tobago. The international standard not under an SOE right now. You know what under an SOE? Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago is under an SOE, not the international standard. So I want to ask NACTUC tonight, where was their voice when all these people were being murdered? We didn't hear them. I didn't hear them. Otherwise, I would have highlighted the issue. It's sad. The blindfolded lawyer, boom shot. International standard. Then I see the hell got killed. Where was the what? Where was the international standard, NACTUC? Oh, I couldn't say nothing that time. It's sad. It's stinking sad. It's ridiculously sad. One thing I tell people in Trinidad, I ain't afraid to go up against nobody, you know. The right thing is the right thing and the wrong thing is the wrong thing. It's sad. 5,000 plus people died from 2015 to 2024. We are here in NACTUC. They took an issue with international standard because a lawyer got blindfolded to go and meet one of his clients in a high-end facility known as where? Tetron. It's sad. But nevertheless, let me hear what they have to say in the coming days. Now that I highlighted the issue, now that Saieed Real Talk highlighted the issue about not hearing them when home invasion was rampant. Let me hear what they had to say now in the coming days. Let me hear what they had to say. So, Trinidad and Tobago, we are going for a short commercial break, but when we come back, threats and corruption fuels SOE extension when we return.
We'll be right back.
When life throws you a curveball and you need a clear path forward, trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on the roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
Real Talk Financing is offering you 5% on a fixed deposit for 5 years and over,
with upfront interest.
Contact our central office at 238-6716 or our San Fernando office at 242-9944. You don't want to miss this great opportunity. Invest today and watch your investment work for you.
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Real Talk Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Saieed, Managing Director of Real Talk Group of Companies and licensed moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Carney Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the glaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concern. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
Welcome back.
So Trinidad and Tobago, the Attorney General John Jeremy has revealed during the debate on Monday at the Tetron Barracks was recently infiltrated by 2 drones. He stated that the defense force responded swiftly and added that individuals targeted for assassination had been briefed. Although the state of emergency has been extended by another 3 months, now ending in October, Jeremy clarified this was not an isolated incident but part of a larger coordinated threat. John Jeremy.
We are witnessing a coordinated surge in violent crimes across the country. Things are not taking place when it comes to gang-related homicides by accident. It may be prudent for us to consider whether we can confront the criminal ecosystem, which now has operational reach, ideological unity, and economic power, with the cooperation of those opposite under different leadership.
Now viewers, Jeremy compared the current crisis to 1990 attempted coup, warning that today's criminal threats are more advanced. Let's say this.
Now the very rich irony is that I am here to address this House and the country in circumstances not dissimilar from those at that time. One difference, and a terrifying one at that, is that today there is no singular violent threat. But I want to be abundantly clear. If we did not take the decisive action of declaring a state of emergency and immediately removing individuals, many of us may not have been here today.
So viewers, that is how serious it is. Meanwhile, opposition leader Penelope Beckles said while the PNM support the SOE for the sake of national security, public concerns are growing. Listen to this.
And I think what the public is really concerned about between the 18th of July and today, the 28th of July, no one effectively has been charged for any offense. And I am more convinced, based on the statement given today by the Honorable Attorney General, that the government must be in possession of some kind of evidence that I think would lead the public to be convinced about the need for this state of emergency.
So I just want to say this, the state of emergency just took effect probably about 15 days ago or 16 days ago, and I believe it was Monday, it has been approved for 3 months. But Penny wants something. So this is why I ask Penny now, when the PNM called it, what was their result? What was their result? Apparently she now wake up. She now wake up and realize, but hey, I'm the leader of the PNM. So I'll forgive her for asking those questions. I'll forgive her for that. Beckles also called on the government to present a long-term crime plan warning against the danger of making SOE a routine response. You see, this is the problem. This is the problem. When the PNM did it was okay. It was okay. Now the UNC did it. Excuse me. Now the UNC did it because of information, because of intelligence gathering. There was a long-term plan. There was a long-term plan. When I asked the former Minister of National Security for the PNM on live television, what was their plan a month into the SOE, nobody said anything. Nobody said anything. But nevertheless, I'll forgive Penny on national television for asking such question. Caller, good night.
Good night, Mr. Saeed. Great program as usual, man. Great topic. But I'll tell you something. In Parliament, there's a song called "In Parliament they kicks in all the time." So they have us going. This country will never have a dull day because what's happening in Parliament. But with all of this SOE and those high-risk prisoners that was removed, we must never forget that life sports, and we must see who was the person established the school for learning. I don't want to call name, but we all know who is the person. He was removed from the prison and put for safekeeping. So that's all I will say on that matter. But Mr. Saeed, there's so much that people know in this country. And what I want to do is congratulate you so much when you look at these social media comments. And even from professor and members of the PSC, a chairman and other members and so on, and a great pastor in this country, very virtuous pastor, you will see it have a flavor of your program, Real Talk. So you are a great soul and you have a very great program. And I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Mark Hernandez, Inspector Mark Hernandez, who won his case.
Yes.
And all the charges against him was thrown out. If people in this country, citizens know that man, he is well trained, highly trained. And that organization they call SWOT, everybody is a mixture of Defense Force personnel and police individuals in that organization, headed by Gary Griffith. And everybody there was highly trained by British, American, Canadian, and so on. Highly trained. I wouldn't go into detail of their training. And it was a sad day for this country. And you know why it was done? To the citizens of this country who probably don't understand. It was done to bypass and eliminate the corrupt, the criminal elements in the police service, because when you plan the exercise, the criminal elements was passing information to the criminals on the streets, and we still seen it happening. So with this banning of that organization, and you see that fella they call Gary Griffith, people don't know that fella. That fella have so much information about everybody, past, present, he have so much information. And I tell you, Gary Griffith is a very knowledgeable fella, and let us keep our fingers crossed and hope some better days will come. And Mr. Said, you're doing a great program. You're opening the eyes of the citizens of this country with this program. You have Real Talk. And you have two great powers. You see the power of expression and communication. If you don't have that power, nobody know what you want to say. Nobody understand what you say. And you have that power, so people are understanding you and opening their eyes. You open the eyes of politicians, the police service, everybody. So God bless you, your staff, you keep up the great work you are doing to make this country a better place, Mr. Said.
Thank you, my friend. So viewers, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar has accused the former People's National Movement, PNM government, of enabling the formation of a criminal syndicate inside the prison system after grouping gang leaders together in Building 13 at the maximum security prison during the tenure of then Minister of National Security Stuart Young. Speaking in the House of Representatives, Persad-Bissessar said it was a PNM decision to cluster high-risk inmates at the MSP in Aruca.
The members should be very aware what was happening in those prisons. Then, as Minister of National Security, member Borders Pay North, what did he do? He took all the main kingpins and he put them in a building called Building 13. Building 13 in the maximum security prison. And what the Honourable AG shared with us earlier was happening is that all these kingpins coordinated, became a syndicate when you place them in that maximum security prison building 13.
So viewers, the PM also claimed not only were the inmates allowed to communicate within the facility, but were also given access to luxury amenities.
What was happening in building 13 when you thought you put all these kingpins, all these dangerous, put them to watch 65-inch TV? If we believe or remember there, Minister Sturge, in that building 13, said they put them there and all the security things in the building 13, they rip out everything. Remember what Jonathan told me that? He's nodding his head there now. They ripped out, the criminals ripped out everything in the building 13, that the building was no longer maximum security building.
So viewers, all right, listen to this response. Sometimes I just wonder if Marvin was really a lawyer or a police, you know. Serious, I just wonder about his intellect. Here it is. Marvin, he explained that the decision to relocate high-risk offenders to building 13 was not was made to prevent collaboration among gang leaders, not to facilitate it. So, listen to Marvin. Listen to Marvin.
The Attorney General said that when the state of emergency was declared, some high-risk prisoners, or priority offenders as they call them, were removed and they were placed in certain, I guess, tables. But in making that point, the Prime Minister accused the member for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, for putting together the, Building 13, and accused the member that that same Building 13 allowed prisoners and gang leaders to collaborate to execute their criminality on Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Speaker, nothing could be further from the truth, because the reason why they were moved to that building block 13 was to prevent that from happening.
Okay, so listen this. Saieed Ali said they were all moved to building 13. Marvin said they were all placed there for them not to collaborate. So let me ask this question. If we had a high-risk prisoner in building number 1, and we had a high-risk prisoner in building number 4, and we had a high-risk prisoner in building number 7, and we had one in 8, or we had one in 13, they were all moved, follow me closely, they could not relate directly because it's a different building. So according to Marvin now, they were all moved from all the building that they were in to one building, building 13, so that they wouldn't collaborate. So I want Marvin now to really sit down and look back at his statement he made. We have a high-risk prisoner in building 1. We have one in building 3. We have one in building 5. We have one in building 7. We have one in building 9. They could not have collaborated, right? Because of the fact that they were in different buildings. But now, they were all moved to one building, building 13. There is no 1, there is no 3, there is no 5, there is no 7, there is no 9. All were moved to one building, according to Marvin, for them not to collaborate. Marvin, did you really understand what you said? It's sad. That's what tell you something, I just wonder the intellect of some of these leaders we have in our country. If we have 9 high-risk inmates, or murder accusers, we would say, if all of them is in one building, what would happen? Somebody tell me something. And all of them will collaborate, and all of them will be speaking to one another. Sometimes I wonder about the intellect of Marvin Gonzalez. I believe he's the chairman of PNM. It's sad. All follow me closely. Listen, all just heard it. Now, Gonzalez said, government put up structures in place, but depend on the public officers to carry out the policies effectively. Marvin, let me ask you something. Marvin. If TTPS have a policy of securing Trinidad and Tobago, that is their job, do you expect the nurses and the doctors to secure Trinidad and Tobago? I just want to ask you that, Marvin. Because the Minister of National Security, former Fitzgerald Hines, said it was not his duty to keep Trinidad and Tobago safe. That wasn't his duty. It wasn't. So whose duty was it? His duty, according to him, was to provide cars, finance, guns, bulletproof vests, proper working station. But yet in 2025, the government had to pay a rent to a homeowner for a building that TTPS renting. So the 5 years Fitzgerald Hines was there, did he put up any building to cut the cost of renting? Sad, boy, sad. But yet, police complain about expired bulletproof vests. They complain about clothes. They complain about shoes. So what was the purpose of Fitzgerald Hines? I'm asking on national television live. You see, I just hit the hammer on the nail head. That's why they don't like me. That's why they don't like me. But then he said, turn to criticism back on PMs claiming that some of the same high-risk proprietary detainees were now housed together at the Tetron barracks under her administration. Listen to this now.
We heard of corruption and corrupt activities in the prisons. Mr. Speaker, as decision makers, as policy makers, we put things in place and we depend on employees, we depend on officials who operate the system to do what they must do so that the citizens of this country can be protected. But as the Honorable Prime Minister made the point, I am reliably informed, Mr. Speaker, that when those high priority offenders were removed from the maximum security prison in Aruca, where they are staying, I am reliably informed, Mr. Speaker, that where they are staying together in Tetron Barracks to do exactly what we hope that they are not doing.
So I want to ask Marvin now. Marvin, why did they have to blindfold the lawyer in order for him to go in there to talk with his client? I want to ask that on national television. Sometimes I wonder about the intellect of you, Marvin. The minister also accused the PM of political hypocrisy and misinformation. Listen to this.
So the Prime Minister accused the Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North St. Anne's West for doing certain things which was not true. But clearly, the Honourable Prime Minister is not aware that in Tetron Barracks, where they have some of those high priority offenders, they are together doing exactly what she accused the Honourable Member for Port of Spain North St. Anne's West from doing. Hypocrisy and political hypocrisy to the highest.
So Marvin, I just want to inform you that there's a reason Do you ever see a lawyer be blindfolded when they're going into prison? No. Any lawyer could go in and see their client in the prison. But because of the fact that it was a high-end security facility, they had to blindfold the lawyer. That was one of the rules. Is either he abide by it or he don't abide by it. Because when you go to the prison, there are rules. You abide by the law, you go and see your client. You don't abide by the law, you stay outside or stay in your office. It's simple. So I don't see why NACTOC have a problem with it. I don't see why. Because when the normal lawyer go to the prison, the rules and regulation you abide by. But nevertheless, there's some for the do and then again there's some for the don't. They don't like the do, but they don't like the don't. It's sad, eh? It's sad. Viewers, we are going for a short commercial break. When we come back, the PM outline crime strategies when we return.
We'll be right back.
When life throws you a curveball and you need a clear path forward, trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on a roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
Real Talk Financing is offering you 5% on a fixed deposit for 5 years and over, with upfront interest. Contact our central office at 238-6716 or our San Fernando office at 242-9944. You don't want to miss this great opportunity. Invest today and watch your investment work for you.
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Real Talk Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Saieed, Managing Director of Real Talk Group of Companies and licensed moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Carney Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the blaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concern. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
Welcome back.
So viewers, welcome back to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. So viewers, I just want to inform you about the 5% Real Talk Financing is offering you. Let me tell you something. There is no other financial institution in Trinidad and Tobago that is offering you 5% on a fixed deposit with the interest up front. No financial institution, none. So viewers, what do we mean by interest up front? Let me take a 2 minutes to explain this to you. When you go to a financial institution to open a fixed deposit account, for 5 years, which means you're putting a lump sum of money on a fixed deposit for 5 years, and at the end of the 5 years, you will collect your interest together with your capital that you invested, let's say at 2% or 3%. Good? You have to wait for the 5 years to up. At Real Talk Financing, the only thing you don't have to do is wait for the 5 years to up. We offer you the interest up front. Once you sign up your documents, within 7 to 14 days, the office is going to call you to come collect your check for the investment that you have made. So you don't have to wait 5 years to collect your interest, to pay down on a car, or to repair the house, or to go for a vacation. No, you could do that within 2 weeks' time of the fixed deposit, your account that you have opened at Real Talk Financing. Let me tell you something. We are the oldest fixed deposit center in Trinidad and Tobago that is giving you your interest up front. No one beats our standard. Why? I have almost 30 years experience in the financial industry. 30 years experience. And I've come a long way. Real Talk Financing. We have 3 lending centers. One at 14 Carolina Savannah Road in Shogunas, one at 25 Cipero Street, San Fernando, and one at 132 Cipero Street, Victoria Village in San Fernando. So it's a lending center, it's a loan center. Loan center viewers. Real Talk Group, we have 2 credit union. Real Talk Credit Union, 25 Cipero Street, San Fernando. San Fernando, that's the white building you are seeing there. And number 14 Carolina Savannah Road in Shogunas, it's the brown building that you are seeing there. So, 2 credit union, 3 loan centers. Imagine that, eh? And I have 30 years experience in the finance industry. So I know what I'm doing. I know what I am doing. Very soon we'll be up the Caribbean. Up the Caribbean. You think it's joke knowledge I have? But just as a person don't like to boast, I don't like to show off. I will come here from 7 to 8. We're going to talk about the issues at hand. We're going to see how to fix it. We're going to try to give those in power the advice that they need on how to do what? Them to pass the legislations and the bill because they have the power. Why? Because the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago gave them the power. That is what they did. They gave them the power. So, continuing in the news tonight. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, a Prime Minister, has laid out a detailed anti-crime strategy centered on institutionalizing reform, enhanced police capabilities, and intelligence-driven operation. The PM said the initiative, developed by Commissioner of Police Alyssa Grovero and reviewed by the Cabinet representative, a decisive shift in how Trinidad and Tobago approach crime prevention and enforcement. She stated that one of the major steps in any anti-crime strategy must be to stop state funding program from becoming pipelines to criminal enterprise. Listen to this.
Well, the Commissioner in his statement and in his intelligence does talked about the state-funded programs and for criminals, they're funding criminals. So a significant part of our anti-crime plan has been removed, to be removing the state, we're taking the steps from the process of funding criminal activity. In addition to the ghosts in the CPEP, you have the ghosts in the ERP, and they're also used for funding criminal enterprises.
So now viewers, among the most significant structural reform, the PM announced plans to place the National Operations Center, the NOC, under the command of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. You know how long I was waiting to see this? Listen to Kamala.
And it's for us to put that NOC under the command of the TTPS. You have all these nice big screens all up on a wall, all around you. You can see the whole country with cameras that are working. Sorry? 6.5-inch. For the working cameras. But then the persons are there are not equipped or staffed to use what you're seeing. So the officers who are there don't have that collaboration as they should have with the TTPS. But if it were the TTPS and you spot something is happening, you get the intel in the NOC, something is happening, you can deploy right away back to headquarters. You can send police officers outside. This is what I discovered. I come into office at the NOC is now manned by SSA officers, and they just sit and look at it because they don't have a cadre, they don't have troops that they can deploy to go out and deal with something that they pick up or see on the screen.
The PM also raised alarm about the country's surveillance capacity, pointing to widespread dysfunction in the national CCTV network. She reminded the House that opposition MP had previously questioned the Ministry of National Security about status of CCTV network. Listen to this.
A lot of the CCTV cameras, Mr. Speaker, they're not working. Whilst we may have these CCTV cameras all over, many of them, they're not working. And if they are working, they cannot even read a number plate. They can't read the numbers. So I know Minister Munilal in the last session of Parliament spent a lot of time asking the Minister for, then Minister Hines and Minister for Port of Spain North about these CCTV cameras, and you could never get a clear answer. We're not sure what's happening. This one time it was said it was 2 years and they were waiting to get them. Did they order them? Did they not order them? Those cameras were like ghosts as well. And all the ghost gangs, they had ghost cameras.
So viewers, the PM said the government was moving forward with the procurement of mobile connects policing unit, which can be deployed and are designed to operate as compact police posts staffed by TTPS officers. So Trinidad and Tobago, the PM is going forward with security. Now, because of the fact that Real Talk have Real Talk Security and Intelligence, I know a lot about security, intelligence. I know how it functions. I've been in that business for almost 10 years. Almost 10 years I've been in that business. And I have a vast knowledge about how intelligence is be gathered. Our friends in high places, always remember that. And security, trust me, I know about it. Rowley, Dr. Rowley is the topic now. So viewers, Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown has clarified that the immigration inquiries involving former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley did not originate from Antigua. Rowley was briefly flagged during a July 14th stopover at VC's Bird International Airport due to an Interpol watch list entry. Speaking at the media at the Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum 2025, currently underway in Grenada on Monday, Brown emphasized that immigration officials treated Rowley with uttermost respect. Hey, all I believe that? Listen from the man mouth himself.
Well, it was not a detention. My understanding is that there was certain information within our immigration portal that did not emanate from within Antigua that caused immigration officers to, let's say, do further inquiries. But in any event, he was not he was not detained, and he was treated with full respect as a former Prime Minister. But I do accept that there was certain information that was in the system, but it did not emanate within our shores.
So Trinidad and Tobago, all the talk Rowley is talking. He still is calling for answers from Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, the Police Commissioner Alyssa Grovero, and the Attorney General John Jeremy. So I want Dr. Rowley to ask Fitzgerald Hines, how does Interpol operate? I want Dr. Keith Rowley to ask Stuart Young, how does Interpol function? And I want Dr. Rowley to also ask Marvin Gonzalez, how does Interpol function? And we're going to leave that right there. We'll leave that right there. Just have about 2 minutes more on our program tonight, viewers. But I just want to say this. The Minister of Public Utility, Barry Patharat, has confirmed that Dane Maraj has been appointed chairman of the Community-Based Environmental Protection and Enhancement Program, that is CPEP. However, there is still no clear timeline for hiring new contractors, a move that could potentially pave the way for the re-employment of recently terminated workers. While the full complement of the board is yet to be revealed, Patharat said there were 7 members on the new CPEP board and the names will be made public soon.
So as I've indicated before, they have been working assiduously over the past couple of weeks. We had some additions to the board and those names will be made public. I think the last check I had, it was 7 persons.
Who will be who will be heading the board?
The head of the board of CPEP will be Mr. Dane Maharaj.
So Trinidad and Tobago, that was an update for you. Soon we'll have new CPEP contractors and hopefully the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago who are employed under the CPEP could be able to go back to work. Now I just want to say this before we wrap up. The government didn't send home anybody. What they did was when they look at some of the contracts, they decided to cut it because of transparency and taxpayers' money was being spent. I just want to inform you all that. So very soon, you will be working again in the CPEP. Viewers, we are out of time for tonight, but nevertheless, we run tomorrow 11:30 to 12:30 and we'll be right back here next night for another Real Talk with Saeed as we go live again. Until then,